Welcome to episode 1 of 100 Lives Later, where me and my best friend will play through Metacritic's top 100 games of all time, starting with number 100, which is what this one is, Super Mario 3D World. My name is Bryant, also known as Lazarbeam.
Yep, and my name's Dustin. Gamer tag at Demo Elite for all my gaming socials. So feel free to add me. Do not add Bryant. Apparently, he's not as social as I am.
I will block you. No. Yeah. So Super Mario 3D World. Let's first talk a little bit about like how we played this game. I played it. I think you did too on the Nintendo Switch.
Yep, I played on Nintendo Switch through the re-release with Bowser's Fury, Super Mario 3D World, which actually I have it here for the camera so you could see where we played it as, but it is the original game that originally came out on the Wii U.
Yeah. And I think it's generally unchanged from that. Also, for the series, we are beating each game, so we have both beat the game, which was quite a feat for a Super Mario game. Sarcasm. It's not. So let's talk. This game came out in 2013, and I thought it would be nice to kind of set the stage for to give us reference and context for what these games was like and when they came out. So I looked up some stuff that happened in 2013. And you brought up a good point, was that in 2013, you and I were living in an apartment together.
Yeah, we were. That's the only time we've ever been roommates, I'm pretty sure. I mean, we've had numerous sleepovers as kids growing up, but we were actually roommates at that time, which is crazy.
Those were the golden years. I guess.
We had 2 desks set up against one wall. We each had our own little gaming setup where we'd play. I was mainly an Xbox player back then, but I think, Bryant, you did some more PC stuff back then.
That was like my first gaming PC.
Yeah, and I was not ventured into that world yet, so I was still playing my Xbox 360.
Yeah, and if I can find a picture of it, I will put it on the screen here. I can almost guarantee you I can't, but I love that computer because I built it from the ground up. And
it was a sick computer. I remember what it looked like. Wasn't it like white?
Yeah, it was white. All my cases have been white.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I remember the case being just ginormous, though. Like a huge case.
It was too big. For sure. For sure. So here's some songs that came out in 2013 that were very big. The Harlem Shake was big. You remember the Harlem Shake?
Let's do it right now. You want to go and just start?
Is that what we're doing? Robin Thicke's Blurred Lines. Daft Punk's Get Lucky was huge then. Still a banger in my book. No? You don't like it?
I think so far 2013 music was lacking.
And then I just looked up very popular song. And then Lord's Royals.
Yeah, 2013 was a rough year.
Okay, and here's some movies. You had Frozen.
That came out in 2013?
That was like Frozen 1, the massive hit.
Crazy that it came out that long ago. That's wild to me. That may be the biggest fact you give me that's going to shock me, is that Frozen is 11 years
some
old.
More.
Okay.
Argo won Best Picture. I don't know if you've seen that.
Never seen it. Know of it. Never seen it, though.
I don't know if I have either. And then here's one that'll blow your mind. It blew my mind. That's when Breaking Bad ended.
Seems right. I remember Breaking Bad ending a long time ago.
I know, but I thought it went on longer than that. But
that Walter White.
Yeah, it's still a banger for sure. All right, the PS4 and Xbox One came out in 2013. Now that we're getting onto some gaming kind of stuff.
But it wasn't out. I don't believe it was out, though, when 3D World came out, right? I believe 3D World... No, it did. It came out right around the same time as the consoles, because 3D World released in November of 2013, and I would imagine that's when the consoles released. So, real competition at the store. I'm sure there was that one Nintendo fan that shows up at the store for a midnight release, because midnight releases still existed back then, for Super Mario 3D World on Wii U, and has to walk past people fighting over Xbox Ones and PlayStation 3s.
You know, there was always that one joke at midnight releases where if it was like Call of Duty, someone's like, well, I'm here for the Shrek 2 release. They just make it over and over. That might have been me.
And that was, you said it was Xbox One and PS4, actually. Is that what it was? PS4. Sorry, I said PS3. So PS4. That seems, PS4 had a long life. I feel like PS4 was around forever, but I guess Xbox One, they're on the same schedule pretty much. So they were around for a long time.
Did you have a PS4?
I did at different moments own a PS4. I've had a love and hate relationship with PlayStation for a while because I grew up playing Xbox systems. I had an N64 and different things, but I never had a PlayStation. I was just like, no Xbox, no PlayStation, and so I've always fought it. But now, as an adult, I actually tend to play my PS5 more than Xbox. So I've kind of shifted gears. Xbox, I mainly play for whatever exclusives are left on there, and then everything else I play on the PlayStation 5 or the PC or the Switch. So kind of shifted.
Yeah. I had an Xbox One. I loved the Kinect. I know I am alone in that I loved having a Kinect on my TV, being able to control it, even though it was super glitchy and not reliable, but I loved the idea of running everything through it.
I will stand on this hill that I think the Xbox One was fantastic with the double HDMI ports to put your cable connected to your Xbox. And then also you can do the split screen where you can watch TV while you play games. That feature disappeared. It was so smart. Kinect was awesome because like I played Dance Central and had the time of my life, and I'm not a dancer, and I had the most fun playing Dance Central on the Kinect. So much core memories unlocked playing that game. Yeah, I was a huge fan of the Xbox One. When it first came out, of course, they did change it, but I was a fan when it came out.
Yeah, it just felt very futuristic.
Yeah.
So, gaming-wise, they had some bangers. I keep saying that. They had some really great games. They had The Last of Us came out 2013.
The original Last of Us?
Original Last of Us.
Wow.
In June.
Shout out Joel and Ellie. Season 2, Last of Us, comes out summer 2025, I believe.
Yeah.
Did you watch the show? Just be honest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I loved it.
Okay.
That was great. Grand Theft Auto 5 came out then.
Yeah. I thought it was older than that, to be honest with you.
Because it's been so long. And then BioShock Infinite. Those are some games.
I'm surprised that was 2013. I felt like that was a little older too, but okay.
Yeah. So that's kind of setting the mood. So now, Dustin, kind of take us over to Super Mario 3D World. Tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So I did mention this previously. So Super Mario 3D World originally released in 2013 on the Wii U. For those of you who remember the Wii U, not a very popular system, to be honest. After the success of the Wii, the transition to the Wii U just was not as popular. So this game honestly kind of flew under the radar. It didn't get a lot of popularity. It wasn't truly beloved as I believe it's the sixth 3D style game in Super Mario series. It just didn't really get that praise that it deserved at the time. I mean, you get to play as a cat. I mean, you put on different accessories, you change who your character is. I think it's awesome, but no one really played it because it's on the Wii U. Not a lot of people had the Wii U. Just as Bryant mentioned, the Xbox One came out, the PS4 came out, so it was just a bad time for release of this game. But thanks to Nintendo, they love to re-release games. It did come out with another release in 2021, in February 2021 for the Switch, and they partnered with Bowser's Fury, which is just a standalone. I would almost say it's if you've ever played a DLC of a game, I believe it's kind of that capacity. It's not a long game, whereas Super Mario 3D World is a substantial game with 8 worlds to venture and play through with replayability of some hidden levels. So the Bowser's Fury release is the Bowser's Fury portion. We're not playing that. We're gonna stick to just playing the 3D world, and that's what we did play. But as far as the success of the game, as I mentioned on the Wii U, it came out and it just wasn't super popular because a lot of people didn't have the Wii U. But it did sell 5 million copies worldwide. But if you think about the Switch release, just to show you how big of a difference it is, as of 2023, the Switch version has sold over 11 million copies. So it's even past that at this point in 2024. So just shows you how big of a difference it makes if when released on the right time and on the right platform. You can really get the audience that you're looking for. And I really do feel like this game didn't get the audience it deserved when it came out, and I'm glad that they did do. This is one of the games where I'm glad a re-release took place because it deserved its spot in its time in the spotlight.
Yeah, I actually played it when it first came out.
Really, on the
Wii U.
So you're one of the 10 people that owned a Wii U. So congratulations.
I loved the Wii U. I'm telling you. I just have great memories of it. I would take it on trips with me. During 2013, I moved out of our hometown and moved to Louisville, Kentucky for a bit. And so I was kind of traveling a little bit back and forth. I was with someone who lived in Chicago, so we would go to her parents' house. And I would just like throw it in my bag. And wherever I was, I would just plug it in. Sure, it was a pain to plug in like the whole console. But I'd plug it. And then I could play like a little Nintendo Switch almost. And I played Assassin's Creed on that. I played a ton of that. Me and my girlfriend at the time we actually played this multiplayer. I never beat it at the time. And I think I'm remembering why. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But
no, I will say for what the Wii U's worth, I don't mean to bash it. I never personally owned one, but I do know that some people did enjoy it.
You can rightfully bash it because people did.
It paved the road for what the Switch became, to be honest with you. If you look at pictures of what the Wii U system looked like, you could definitely see some influence that reflected upon the Switch, which is, I could be wrong and I'm making up this stat, but I believe that the Switch is probably Nintendo's most successful console they've ever had, outside of probably the original Super Nintendos. I would think that the Switch is probably their most popular and most best-selling console they've ever had, and I'm really looking forward to the Switch too. Switch is one of my favorite. I have a small collection of Switch games, like 40 Switch games, and that's console that I actually collect. Bryant, did you look up a stat? Is the Switch the most successful Nintendo console?
Well, now here we go. List of best-selling consoles. It's close. It's very close, and it might surpass it. But the number one is the Nintendo DS.
Oh, okay. I get it.
But as a mainstream console, Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, if you're a Nintendo fan, I get why you would have a DS too. Like, I've even considered getting myself a DS on top of my Switch, right. Just because there's so many games I've never ventured. The last Nintendo handheld I have was a Game Boy Advance, and that was in the 90s. So I would imagine all the games I've missed. Handheld.
Also, the Switch has been out for so long, so it kind of gives it an advantage.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a little bit of history of the game. So now let's talk about what it was like. Let's just give me your general thoughts on it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I didn't play a whole bunch of Mario games as a kid growing up. My first venture with the Mario game was Super Mario 64. On the N64, me and my brother would take turns playing levels at my grandparents' house. So, really, for my first Mario game that I really truly played, for it to be a 3D game, this game really does hit more home with me. Actually, in this year, I have gotten into playing more Switch, and I actually beat other 3D Mario games such as Mario Odyssey. I beat this year, so I have a fresh perspective on this type of game. And to be honest, for a game that released in 2013 and then re-released in 2020 for the Switch, I think the game was beautifully done. I like the layout and format, the transitions through worlds. It's very If you're a fan of the Super Mario series, I feel like you're gonna feel right at home with the navigation of the map. It's obviously 3D, but as you progress through the world, you're going to your little blip on the ground, selecting your level and going into it, and you're getting after it. Without getting into too much detail as we progress here, initial thought wise though, honestly for me it really did hit home and brought back some fresh memories of like I said, Super Mario, Mario N64, just because of the 3D aspect. It's a completely different game when it comes to level design. It has some trace level design similarity to N64, but they are definitely smaller levels. And I would consider this game almost like a hybrid. If you're looking for a hybrid Mario game between Mario 64 and Mario Wonder, the newest, I think it's one of the newest Super Mario games, Mario Wonder. I think it's like a hybrid mix between both of those, the way the levels work and the movement more like Mario 64, progression and levels similar to Mario Wonder, where Mario Wonder you're looking for Wonder Seeds to then trigger some sort of special event. In this game, you're looking for different power-ups that you'll hit, like a feather that allows you to jump higher, or the bell that turns into a cat, items like that. It just adds fun and different dynamics, and based on what items you get in the levels, you can kind of progress the levels differently to work towards getting your stars, or getting your sticker stamp is another collectible they have in the game. But overall, for me, I did enjoy the premise and the type of game this is for what it is. How about you?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Having played more modern type platformers and the more modern Mario games, I liked it less than I remembered. And I think that might just be from playing Odyssey.
Yeah. What's the last 3D Mario game you've played? Because like I said, for me, I played Mario Odyssey in February. So like it's this year I've beaten Mario Odyssey. Did you play it back in February, or did you play it sooner than that?
Not in February, but I don't
Okay.
know. When it first came out, I played.
Yeah, so what, 4 years ago is when Odyssey came out, something like that. I think it's
Yeah, do
one
you
of
feel
the
like
original Switch games.
So if we're talking let's talk about the movement a little bit. Odyssey's movement just feels so free. And I think it's because all these different moves you can add with the hat. Did you compare, since you've played it so recently, how do you feel like they compare?
No, I do believe the movement is a little bit smoother in Odyssey, and I think that has to do with it being more of an open world as far as you can be as an open world in a Super Mario game.
That's true.
But you're kind of level locked in 3D world to where, yeah, you can kind of explore as you want. You can go back and forward as you need to, but even then, sometimes you can't go back. And I do think the depth was an issue in this game, to where
Yes.
I'm dying a lot on levels that I'm like, how did I not make that jump? Because either if it's forward, backwards, or side to side, sometimes the depth, maybe the camera angle. I think maybe if there was more freedom with the camera angles, possibly.
I 100% agree.
Would help.
And maybe it's also because, now that you mention it, Odyssey, and I don't want to compare it to Odyssey the whole time, but all of these maps are like, I'm pretty sure, not all of them, most of them, I guess, are just like floating in an abyss.
Yeah.
So the mistake, if you miss a jump, or if you are off by a little bit because of that weird depth thing, like, you're dead. And it's so much more annoying than in like Odyssey, where if you fall, there's a good chance you just hit the ground and retry the jump.
Yeah, I completely agree. It is frustrating, and also too, the game does cater to you getting those power ups to be a cat or to have the fireball. So like, if you don't have the fireballs in a certain area, you can't
you're
blow
screwed.
up the wall behind you that was supposed to get you to the secret star to help you
Yeah.
progress through the level. They do kind of lock you that way, and I get it. They want to encourage you to use those abilities, but if you didn't get them, or you happen to get hit by a mushroom and you lose your ability, then you're just stuck. You have to progress, and then you have to be little Mario guy because you got hit too many times.
Yeah. So we'll just talk a little bit, the goal of the game, and I say this because there is a point. The goal of the game is to Yeah, you beat a level and then you move on. But there are times when there are gates where you have to have a certain amount of stars.
Yes.
And each level has 3 stars, except for the Toad levels, which are kind of one-off little...
Yeah, the Toad levels, and then there are some miscellaneous levels too. They do where it's not where you control Toad, but it's like Toad's kind of orchestrating you to try to progress through, and if you can get through all the levels, you end up getting like 8 stars or something of that sort. But
yeah, you have to do those.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm sitting there, I'm playing this like, oh, the stars, they're just like collectible things, whatever. And then you move. Also, by the way, there are spoilers for this game. I think that kind of goes without saying. But
yes.
You go through, and then there's this gate of like 130 stars, I think is the first one.
Yeah, no, so there's gates throughout, but they're not punishing
They're not that
gates.
high.
It's like you need 40 stars at this point. You've gone through 3 worlds and you're like, okay, I have 40 stars. I got that on me. That's nothing. But then you get to the I believe it is the final. Well, that's another thing. That is a little irritating that Mario games, just Nintendo games typically like to do sometimes with false endings, which we'll get to as we discuss. But yes, there is a gate in one of the last Bowser worlds where it is 130 stars, which is quite a bit, especially if you are playing through the game just for fun and you're not really looking for those stars.
That was
myself. I'm more of a completionist than Bryant is. So like for the first 3 worlds, to be honest with you, I was going for every single star. So each level, for the most part, has 3 stars. Within that level, there's also a sticker stamp. So there's a big sticker sheet that you can collect stickers. Maybe we can find a picture of it and show, but you collect stickers by finding these stamps. And they're just stickers that are just more of a collectible for the game. And then on top of that, you know the classic Super Mario mechanic. When you get to the end of a level, you jump off a platform and you try to touch the top of the pole to get the most points. So that actually factors in. If you don't touch the top of the pole at the end of the level, it shows your stars, your stamps, and your score. There's a flag, and it's not going to be colored red and gold, showing you got the top. You can't.
And that just drove you crazy, didn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So the first 3 worlds, I'm like, okay, I got to get all 3 stars, and I got to find the stamp. The stamp's a little bit easier of a pill to swallow because the stamp, it's kind of hidden. That like when you look at your stats for that map, it's kind of small, showing that you missed a stamp. It's the stars and then that flag that really drove me crazy because you also notice it just when you walk past the next map when you run around the 3D area. So it is frustrating, especially when you get to a point where you're gated and you can't progress further.
Yeah. So for me, it was like, so in Super Mario 3, which was the first, I believe, is the first Mario to have the overworld, so the map. Mm-hmm. It's very much like this. One of my favorite Mario games ever. And for that, it was like, you just had to get to the end. You could, and there were different routes, so, but you could beat this one. Oh, you didn't even have to play that level. So I was like, oh, that's what this is. This game does that as well. Sometimes there's the road will split where you have to pick one. Oh, you keep going. And I'm like, oh, I'm just going to breeze through this. It's a Mario game. And you get to that freaking gate at the end. The last world. What you think is the last world. And it's 130, I think. 130 stars.
The very last is 170.
Yeah. So I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. So I go back and start. I didn't do the math, but I mean, it's pretty much like 2 stars on most levels, at least.
Yeah, and in a Nintendo game, I play Nintendo games because they're just fun. They just remind me of just fun gaming, like no pressure. And when the Nintendo game makes me go back and replay level, not for fun, but just to get a star, that is a little frustrating, to say the least. But personally, for me, myself, because I am more of a completionist than Bryant, I did not run into the gate problem. I always had enough stars when I got to the gate, so I never had to go back.
When you got to the 130, how many did you have?
I had about like 150. And then
so you just went straight through it?
Yeah, and when I got to 170, I had like 186, something like that.
I'm pretty sure I had like 80.
Yeah, see, I was even whenever I quit going for all 3 stars, I still made it a point to really try to find the stars in every level. So for the most part, I would get at least 2 stars in every level I went to.
I remember jumping over stars. Like, haha.
You're like, I don't need you,
out of
star.
my way. Yeah, I was. So that was.
I forgot to mention, I talked about the game and kind of what the premise is. But one cool thing this did, and I can't say this is the first 3D Mario game that allowed you to do it. I think it was awesome that you could actually pick a different character than Mario or Luigi. It was Mario, Luigi, Princess Peach, Toad, and Rosalina. And they also each had slightly different skills, which people don't really think that Nintendo's going to give a different skill. Yeah, so Mario is the most balanced. He had balanced running speed and jump height. Luigi actually jumps higher and falls slower, but has slower traction. So if you're starting to slide, he has less traction. Princess Peach can jump high and briefly float because of the dress, but she does run a little slower. Toad's the fastest, but can't jump as high. And then Rosalina can actually attack enemies in her base form with her spin. So there was a benefit to playing as a different character. Now I believe the benefits are negligible. So personally for me, I played as Peach for the first half and Mario as the second half. Maybe, I don't know if that helped me or hurt me. Bryant, I don't know. Who'd you play as?
I did Mario the whole way. I think there was one level where sometimes there's little, I don't know what you call it, buttons on the ground or something that only a certain character can activate. I think I switched once for that, and it didn't do anything. And I was like, okay, I'm switching back. So they also do that because this is multiplayer. This is the first 3D Mario where there was co-op for the whole game. It's built kind of
the
with
Switch
co-op.
version is online co-op. We could have played together.
We should have done that.
We should have done at least one level together, but we failed to do that. Maybe we'll do that after the podcast. We both still own it.
I played this with my ex-girlfriend at the time, and it was great bonding.
I don't know. So when you play the multiplayer, if one person falls, do both people lose, or is it I
don't remember.
You get to continue. Okay, I was curious if that's how it worked.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember. So let's talk about the controls a little bit. I thought that this once again might be me getting older because you do start to notice as you get into your 30s, your reaction times go down and your
Not mine.
your dexterity diminish a little bit. But did the controls feel super sensitive to you?
I didn't think it did, but like I said, I've played 3D games more recent than you, so I think maybe I just had some muscle memory to where I didn't feel as if it was too sensitive for personally. So I do think some of the jump mechanics were sensitive when it came to hitting certain platforms, like when there's a gap between a platform, things of that sort. I think there were some issues there, but overall the movement was fine for me. Yeah,
but you were right earlier. You talked about the depth perception. It was weird.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's because I didn't deal with that in Odyssey, which is the closest 3D Mario game I've played. I don't know if they did tricks to where, how you can do depth of field stuff where, the foreground is more blurred and the background is more blurred.
Yep.
And then having a shadow. Of course, you had a shadow in this. I don't know. It's just the depth perception was very strange in this, and I don't remember that.
Yeah, so speaking of movement and having difficulties, how difficult would you rate the game on a scale of, let's say, 1 to 5? What's difficulty?
2.
Okay. I would say it's probably more of I would say a 2 just because because of the depth issues I ran into. I did die a lot. I would say I did come within losing my lives a few times where I was like, man, I'm down to my last 6 lives. And so it's typical Super Mario form where you do have a bucket of lives. You can find 1-ups throughout the map as you're playing to get additional lives. And it's just a bucket. And as you progress down, as your lives go down, you would potentially, ultimately, if you get to 0, I don't think you end game, but I think it restarts you from a certain point. I don't think it actually makes you restart the whole game. I don't know, though. It didn't happen, luckily.
I got close, too.
Yeah, it was difficult, but the benefit is this game is, of course, a Nintendo game. It does help you, and so if you die, I think it was 3 times in a row on a certain map, it would
Oh
produce
no.
a gold box that gave you pretty much like Goku Super Saiyan powers in a in a Nintendo game. It made you faster, you can float longer, and you had
I
star powers. You're invincible, so like, you couldn't get hit by anything to get killed.
Did you use it?
Oh, all the time.
I never used it. Get
Really?
this. There was one part on that Switch level. It was a
Mm-hmm.
platform. If you jumped on one side, it would like go this way. Jumped on the other, you would go that way. I
Yeah.
kept dying and I was getting mad. And then that thing popped up and I was like, "Oh, how did I miss this?" I thought I had kept walking by it and then I was like, "Oh, wait, this is like the baby mode." I was like, "No, I'm not going to do it." So
If
that
I
was just
didn't
a
use the
personal
baby
thing.
mode, I would have not made it through some of the games. To be honest with you, I wouldn't
It
have.
was harder than I thought like it would be.
Yeah, I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have made it through if I didn't use the baby mode without running out of lives. Because of course you can get lives to the level, but they do have, as you're walking around the overworld, a lottery slot machine pops up, and
Freaking
within that slot machine,
boy.
you jump. There's 4 boxes above you, and you jump up. They have a different character on them. If you time it correctly, you can get additional lives. And I could not figure out until the very last time I ever did it how to really do a good job with that. But Brian, give you your strategy, because apparently you're just a beast at
I'm
it.
not lying. There was only a couple times I did not get the full like jackpot. I Because you can look and you can see when, because you wanted the bell. The bell is the one you wanted. When the bell passed, I would like start tapping. Not physical. Well, maybe it might be on my controller. Anyways, I was making like the beat, and I would get the BPM, the beats per minute, and then when I thought I got it, I would hit A or whatever button it is to jump, and then it just worked. I think knowing Nintendo, they probably increase your probability of getting the bell. But I got it, and it saved me. I don't know what I would have done.
Yeah, that's wild. I did not get more than one bonus life until the very end, and I finally like kind of watched it and did figure out a pattern to get it. But yeah, so I was struggling on life, so that little gold box definitely helped me.
Yeah. Replayability. Do you think you're gonna play this again?
Yeah, so like I said, I'm more of a completionist than you, so like I would like to 100% the levels and replay through and try to get all the stars. But that's the good thing about Nintendo. Most of my Switch games I have are physical, so it's nice to just go back, and if it's just a boring night after work or a weekend, I have nothing going on, to hop back and play a game like this. And I enjoy the 3D worlds where I would hop on and just do a mission, do a level or two, and be pleased with that experience. So yeah, personally for me, I do believe that I would go back and actually play it again. So if I had to give on a scale of 1 to 5 of replayability, I'd say it's, because you can go for the stars, I'd say it's like a 3 out in replayability. I think it's definitely drives you to want to potentially progress, but I think with the payrolls and some of the frustrations you may have, not the payrolls, the gate blocks for having a certain amount of stars, and then the difficulties with the controls and depth of field, I can imagine that some people may be like, "Oh, this is a one and done for me. I beat it. I got the credits. I'm done."
That's me.
How about you?
That's me. I'm
Okay.
the one and done. It was fun. It was fine. I think if you had kids, this is a great kid game because you can do the multiplayer. They can hop in, and I'm sure there's. Yeah, I don't know how the lives work for that. So, but one of the things they did on the Wii U was someone could have the Wii U pad, and they use it. They kind of had to modify it for the Switch, but if you touch the screen on the Wii U, it could do things like you could disable a boss for or an enemy for half a second, or it could reveal hidden things, and because but if you're playing with the Pro controller, which I did, you had to hit like one of the shoulder buttons, and then it's like a gyroscope, and so what that is, it's simulating what a finger,
Yeah.
used to
You
be
had
on the
to
screen.
do that on the Toad levels. You had to do that sometimes to progress to those Toad levels.
Yes, let's talk about the Toad levels.
They
How
did not
you?
need to be in that game.
What's crazy is they spun a whole game off of them.
Yeah, I would imagine a game being fine, enjoyable in regards to like trying to figure out the puzzle, but like they were just so simple in this game and just more just a time suck than anything. Walking around. So the premise is you're Toad and you're walking around. You can't jump, you can't hit anything, and you're trying to progress through. Usually it's like a mountain tower or something. You're trying to go through with moving
Right.
parts to help you get to each star and collect them all. There's about 5 stars on each one, and it's just
It's like baby's
just more
first
of a
puzzle.
chore. Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
such
it's-
easy puzzles, and it's just like I think it would be a fun game if you had a 6-year-old who you want to have them expand their brain a little bit and try to go through a puzzle as
Yeah.
Toad. So, what's the
and
game?
especially-
Is it called Toad Tracker? I think, or something like that. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Well, and especially because, like, part of the greatness of a Mario game is the movement and the freedom to just go as quick as you can and jump off stuff. And you got this cat, you got all these power ups and stuff. And then it's just like the game screeches to a halt. And the only reason you end up playing them is to get the stars because they have a lot of stars in them, which is
Yep,
just.
Yeah, it definitely gives pause.
They felt like they used the star. It's like the designers used the stars to make sure players looked at all the stuff they made.
Yeah, like hey, enjoy your game. But let's say for the sake of the Toad levels, which we didn't like, and they had the slot machines. They had the one areas where you just would go into Toad's house, and you get there's a small box and a big box, and if you jump at the right one, you get more collectibles. I like that they try to give us more versus just straight level to level in the world. They tried, it just didn't work for me in regards to the Toad levels. I really enjoyed the levels where you did have to try to. So there were levels where you can get up to 10 stars, potentially 8 stars, whatever it may be, and you had to do a quick puzzle to figure out how to get the star, and then you move on to the next level, and it's all in a row. And you try to get all 10 in a row.
I enjoyed those.
Those were fun. They were challenging. I made sure I got every star for all of those because it was just fun for me because it was a challenge. Like you had you had 10 seconds on each level, and you had to figure out what the puzzle is and get the star, and then move on to the next one. Those were fun, and it just adds variety. They added. Besides, like obviously in each level they had their own. Each level was unique, but they had the power-ups to make them unique as well and change the way you play them. But they had levels such as where you would ride on the big dinosaur. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but you ride on the... What's it called?
Plessy.
So you ride on Plessy, a big old dinosaur, zooming down all the water and making jumps. Like, those levels were fun. A level,
Nintendo does variety of levels and environments so well. I mean, it's just...
Yeah.
Well, let's kind of go on.
I'd say my favorite levels were definitely the Plessy levels because they were fun and different, and I liked the challenge of the Toad levels where you progress for the additional stars. There was a certain level where you were climbing up a tower progressively with a lot of I believe it was with clouds that would disappear as you progress. I like those challenge ones. You have to time your jumps and when it transitions to where the cloud's visible and when it's not visible and the platform's visible and it's not visible, you can go through and play. I really enjoyed those levels. The one level I didn't like, I know you didn't like Toad levels. I did not like. I thought it was cool they tried to do it, but they had a Luigi's Mansion level. And there were these ghosts. And it was just so hard to avoid getting hit by these ghosts as you're progressing through the level. And at the same time, you have to do a little platforming. Yeah. You had to like jump over them and then also stay on the platform that kept getting progressively smaller. And then there was a big ghost. And you had a flashlight, but the flashlight took like 10 seconds to actually kill the ghost. So it just was super frustrating for me personally. I had issues with that level. I just kept dying. I just felt like I died. I think that level I died the most on. That level, and then there was a level where you were a box over lava, and the box would tilt, and you'd have to jump as it tilted.
Gosh.
And I could not get the timing of this jump when the box would tilt. And I'm like, I'm good at platformers. I mean, like I played plenty of Mario games. I played Destiny raids where you do jump puzzles. Like, I'm good at jumping. I mean, Mirror's Edge, all that stuff. But in this, I could not figure out this stupid box twisting over and jumping.
And they put those freaking like little boys next to you to be like,
yeah, they had little boys mocking you who were jumping at the same time as you.
Do this.
And I can't make the jump.
My hands were so sweaty after that. When I beat that, I was like, that was crazy. If you talk about difficulty, that was crazy. Yeah. For a Mario game.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't mention this, but yeah, we talked about the stars. There is an underlying theme in the game. We're trying to save these little girls. I don't know what they are, but they're all different color. Fairies. Yeah, they're like little pixie fairies. They're all a different color. And so there's 6 worlds, 6 of them that you're trying to save from a boss at the end of each world. So there were boss fights. What did you think of the boss fights? Were they enjoyable? Did you think they were
stressful? I think they were the correct amount of difficult.
Yeah.
For a Super Mario game. Yeah. Like, it was something that, except for the car one.
Oh, when Bowser was in the car?
Yeah. I hated that.
That one was easy.
Okay, well, you're a real gamer. I haven't beat Elden Ring.
No, I had trouble with the one where it was the big ball of lava rock that would come and you'd have to wait for him to spit out the mini versions, jump on one of those, and then throw it at him. And I just felt like every time I would get the timing down, he would catch up and I wouldn't be able to throw the rock at him. But the bosses I never struggled with any of them, so that was nice. It wasn't like I maybe died once or twice on a boss. But yeah, you fight each boss. I mean, you beat one at the end of each level, at the end of each world. Like I said, there's 6 worlds, I believe. Then you go to the Bowser worlds and you have to face the bosses again. And then we could talk about the ending of the game, which I briefly brought up previously. So you get all 6 girls, and in true Nintendo fashion, Bowser, you defeat him, and he grabs the girls and goes off to a completely another world for you to go and do it again. From
under you.
Yeah. Yeah. How'd you feel about that whenever that happened to you, where you thought you had the game beat, and then all of a sudden, boom,
I wasn't happy.
World.
I'll be honest. I was not a happy camper because I think I'm going to have to get over this because doing this podcast, I was trying to beat you at first because I was like, I know someone else is playing this. I'm not a competitive person, but I was just like, I want to be the first one to do it, to be like, hey, I'm done waiting on you. And for that to happen, I think I shut it off for the night because I was like, because I had just gotten over the annoyance. Because I think I might have texted you and was like, oh, almost done. Or
yeah, you texted me, almost done. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, wait, there's gates to where I can't go past through this. I can't progress. But myself, I was too busy trying to 100% it until I eventually just gave up. It's typical fashion for me in some Nintendo games where I think I'm going to 100% it and then I just give up. And I think that's...
So how many stars did you have at the last gate?
Oh, man. I think it was like 186. And you needed 170.
Oh, so you didn't have to go back?
No. Mm-mm. Nope. And so, overall, how long do you think the game took you?
Oh, I was thinking about that. I don't know. I'm really bad with... If I was to guess, I don't know, maybe between 5 and 10 hours. Does that sound crazy?
That is a crazy range, and that's a little.
It is a crazy range, but I don't want to embarrass myself, so I like.
So let's see what the Switch says you played. So, according to the Switch, you played 10 hours or more. So
okay, but I frequently keep games running. Does it say for you how?
For me, it says I played 5 hours or more. Which I don't think is accurate. I feel like I did play more than that. But
I definitely leave it on.
The Switch is notorious for bad timing on how much time you play in the game. That's just more of a placeholder.
How long to beat? It says 10 to 11 hours for the main story.
Yeah, I would anticipate I probably beat it in 8 hours. I maybe 6. I'd say 6 to 8. I think if I'm being honest with myself, I don't think I beat it in. Yeah, I think I would say 6 to 8 hours is what and They say on how to beat, I believe it says like 37 hours to 100% it. If it takes you 37 hours to 100% that, like, I'd be shocked to 100% that game. Yeah, I missed stars, but if I
Yeah.
were to go back and go get those stars, it couldn't have taken me. It'd probably take me another 5 to 10 hours to 100% that
But the
game.
stamps were some of the stamps were a little harder to find, right?
Yeah, they're tricky, but with YouTube and stuff like that, after you try to find
there
it
you
yourself
go.
and can't find it, you can
There you
get
go.
an answer.
So let's talk quickly about, these are just kind of things we're going to talk about for each game. So they kind of apply to this, but the story,
I mean,
it's Super Mario.
story. There's not a story to have. I mean, it's Mario or whoever you choose to play as trying to save a girl, which seems to be the common theme. A group of girls in this scenario, and you're facing Bowser, the big baddie, who takes them. I mean, it's just the typical Nintendo
Yeah.
Mario.
It was
story.
cool that it wasn't Princess Peach. So
Yeah.
she got to be a character.
Wasn't Peach. 6 individual different characters that you're trying to save. I mean, it was fun.
Yeah, and
I
they
mean,
had no personality.
Yeah.
They were just color.
Yeah, they're
I'm
different
green
colors.
berry.
Yeah, and I don't even know what the relation was to our protagonist, Mario or Luigi, whoever used. I don't know
No,
what the
I had to
relationship is
Google.
besides we're going to save him.
Yeah, I had to Google the story, and the explanation online was just pretty much what you saw. Like, oh, a clear pipe shows up, and fairies go away to this special fairyland. So it's not the Mushroom Kingdom; it's a new place. So emotional impact, I would say it had zero. Besides,
No. Besides
feeling
own
of-
frustrations with platformer
Yeah.
games, there's no emotional.
no, and there's no acting besides the classic voice actors.
Yep.
Visuals, I would like to talk about that. I thought for the time, for when this came out, the visuals were great.
No, it's a beautiful game. I mean, I think I don't know what frame rate it runs at on the Switch, but I gotta imagine it's damn near
I feel like
60
yeah.
FPS, and it looked beautiful. The colors were sharp. I think the character models were great. I mean, when you're put on a cat suit, or like, spoilers, but the final boss Bowser is a cat.
Which-
looks cool. That
Right. I mean,
that was interesting.
Nintendo art style is like, that's one of their biggest strengths. Is
Yeah, no, it's
everything's going to
gorgeous
look
game.
great, and it's so colorful, and so like this is good to play on like a good TV.
Yeah, and it's one of those
mean,
games too that if you took it and no one's ever played Mario before, and you said, "Hey, what system was this played on?" They wouldn't be able to tell you that, "Hey, this was played on a lower powerful system that is played on the Switch," because it runs so well and looks so good. It looks like it could have came out on the PS5 or came out on a PC and ran the same without there being a difference. That's just such great optimization on the sake of Nintendo when it comes to their own license.
100%. Yeah, so let's talk about that last level. Well, let's talk about audio, and then we'll talk about the last level as kind of like the last thing.
Okay.
I mean, there's not a lot to talk about, but I just have thoughts. Okay. The audio, I thought the music was phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, it's classic Mario themed music. I liked every level's music. It wasn't, I wouldn't say it was impactful in any way to where it stood out to me as being, but I don't really look for audio music in games like you would, so
Yeah.
you'd probably speak better to that.
Yeah, the music was great. Have you heard of Koji Kondo?
No.
He so he's like a longtime Nintendo music composer. He's the guy that came up with the original Super Mario Brothers music, all the stuff on like the NES, Super Nintendo. I mean, just he created the Legend of Zelda soundtracks, and he's like a staple in the music, the like game music industry, especially Nintendo. And it looks like I looked it up, he helped out with this, and I think he takes less of I could be wrong, but I think he takes less of a front like composer role, and he does more like, I don't know, like a managerial type stuff. But his hand was in it, and it's just, he's great. That's all I wanted to say about that. And the sound was, the sound effects and everything are top notch. But anyway,
it's what you expect.
last level. You spend all this time going over some pretty tough levels, more annoying than tough, and you get to the last like castle. You need 170 stars. Some of us have to go back and spend a couple hours getting those. You get in there. The last level is tough, right? To get to Bowser.
Yeah.
Not crazy tough.
No, I don't. I mean, what irks me at the last level is I think it was cool that Bowser becomes a cat, just like you've been doing the whole game. But you're progressing up this tower, and he's trying to claw you or bite you, whatever. And there's like 1,000 Bowsers, apparently. I don't know how this happened, but like there's like 8 of them as you're climbing up. They keep popping out of the walls and trying to hit you. It's just classic platform, jump platform. They're going to expire if you don't jump fast enough. That part was easy. You thought that part was easy?
I thought
that's the only part I died on.
Oh, I thought there's like a place where you're getting up to that, where there's like boomerang people. Or no, you get the boomerang thing. I don't know. I messed up a lot getting there. But when I got there, I thought I was like, that's it. That's the final boss.
And that's the thing. The experience is different for everyone in this game based on what abilities you had at that time. So, like, let's say you're walking around in the cat costume, but I have the flame fireballs. I'm going to get through a part where there's people throwing boomerangs at me a lot faster. Or, like, if there's a lot of enemies around me. But if there's a part where you can just climb straight up a wall and get past a jump puzzle, then it's going to be a lot easier for you. And that's the kind of charm of this game, that everyone's different, experience a little different.
There's one level where you had to have the cat outfit, or you were like relegated to like the kiddie table. They're like, here's a route for everyone else. Here's all that stuff up there. That's for all the fun kids to play.
Oh, that who level drove me crazy.
I know exactly what you're talking about. You couldn't get like any stars on it.
Yeah, because that was a weird mechanic, is that you could only hold one ability in reserve. So say I have the cat suit on, and then I grab another cat suit, a bell. It holds that one, but then if I keep progressing level, I'm doing well, and then I come across another ability, I get like the feather or the fireball. It replaces that ability I have in storage. I wish it would let me just bank them, have a couple of them, or choose between 2 different ones. If I'm like, hey, I want to have 2 selected in my reserves and switch back and forth, but you really couldn't do that. And you could use it at any time if you wanted to, if you had one in reserve, but you'd lose the one you had. So that was a little frustrating, but yeah.
All right. Here's what I think we should do for a rating. This is just me. I think we should give it a rating, a 2013 rating for when like the game came out, if you were to play it and rate it then. And then a rating for today, like how it holds up.
Okay.
And I like to
should we do it in the premise of Metascore, or should we do 1 to 10? Because on Metacritic, the ratings for user reviews are on a 1 to 10 scale, but you add in the points, like 6.2, 6.4, 6.3.
I think that's how we should do it. 1 to 10, you can do decibels. Okay. Do you have... I have mine ready.
Okay, you go ahead.
Okay. For the time rating, for 2013, I would give this, especially for a Nintendo game, I would give this a 9.
9 flat? Rookie score, but okay.
A straight 9. It's a great game. At the time, one of the best platformers you can get, especially 3D. The graphics are beautiful. The fact that it's just a great Super Mario game. A 9 for the time. What would you give it for 2013?
2013 for me, if I were to play this game in 2013, based on where I was at in my gaming career, it'd be more of like I'd say more like a 8.5 for me. If I were to play this on the Wii U, I would really enjoy it, but to put it on the level of like other games coming out at that time, like Last of Us, Gears 3, like big story games coming out, I think Uncharted games, like all those games were so popular back then with huge stories and stuff. Trying to go back and play a game like this during that time, I think I would have a lot of fun with it and enjoy it, but it'd be like a game that I play on the side, casually for fun, and just enjoy the experience. So that's why I give it 8.5. I think the art style would be incredible. The music is great. The gameplay is good. You'd have their frustrations with some of the depth of field issues, the control issues, the frustration of being gatekept by stars, and some of the more chore-based missions like the Toad missions. That's why I would take off 1.5 for that. But overall, I mean, I think 8.5 is still a very good rating. And I don't know, what was the rating, original IGN rated of that game? Let's say IGN in 2013.
It's a great question.
Let's see.
I bet they gave it a 10. That's my guess.
It got a... Let's take a look, because I am curious. It got a 9.6.
Wow.
Yep, and they reprefaced it. Just the co-op aspect of it too was what really sold it for them.
Yeah.
Which that is something to factor in. But we didn't play co-op, so I mean, I think back in the day, if you would have brought over your Wii U and we played co-op on this, maybe I would consider rating it higher.
It would be a great co-op game. Like I said, I've played it co-op originally and had a ton of fun.
Okay. So what would you give it in today's world? In 2021,
Today?
when it came out. Yeah.
As a game to spend money on and get it. I did not play the Bowser's Fury stuff. I'd give it a 7.5.
Wow. Harsh critic. Why? Like, what changes it today's? Because, like, for me, it was a beautiful game. Music was great. The frame rate was great. It isn't like I was being held back by dated technology. Like, what would make you want to give it a 7.5?
To me, it's just living in a world with Super Mario Odyssey.
Okay.
And it lives in a world... Yeah, I mean, it lives in its shadow. I think it's such an improvement over this. I don't think it's a bad game. Anything over a 5 is something I enjoy. Right? I enjoyed playing it. A 5 to me is... It's okay. Anything lower than 5, I didn't like playing. So that's 7.5. But to me, Odyssey is much higher. And... Okay. Yeah, I think it's starting to maybe show its age a little bit. But it held up pretty good for a 7.5 in my opinion. What about you?
I would give it an 8 because yes, playing it now, I do have the perspective of playing games such as Odyssey, playing Mario Wonder, other games that just outshine it to where I would knock it off a half point, but I still truly enjoyed my experience and had fun playing the game, and I will go back to it. So for me, I don't think it falls off much from 2013, and I would still give it an 8 today.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, we're pretty lock and step there, pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, that's it.
Except for you dropped it down 1.5 points.
I know I did. I think it's because I had played it previously and enjoyed it a lot. I enjoyed it at a level 9. And then I expected to enjoy it as much and just felt a little more limited. And I didn't... Like, Odyssey has, like, gatekeeping stars too, doesn't it? Like, you have to get this many stars in a world, if I remember.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
But it never felt like it.
No, it never was because it wasn't an obtainable number. It was like there's so many on this map, and once you get to 6, you can go on to you can get in the balloon and go to the next one. But it isn't like, no, you need to have a hard 100 to get to the next part.
Yeah, and that just kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little more than I remembered.
So,
okay.
All in all, your overall rating then, if you were to merge them, would be an 8.25, and mine would be an 8.25. So we are in line.
There you go.
Which is great.
Straight up.
We'll give the rating for this game an 8.25.
Okay, next... Coming up, if you're playing along with us, as of November 2024, if we are going to look it up right now, because maybe it has changed since the beginning of our recording, I think this is the best way to do it.
Yep.
Now I can't find it because I know I'm recording. And
I'm on it. It is still God of War 2.
Okay, God of War 2. We'll both be. I'll be playing on a PS4.
Yep.
You'll
I'll
be
be
doing the
playing
same
on
thing,
PS5,
right?
but it's both streaming the PlayStation 2 version. There's not a remaster available, at least that I know, to play on the new systems. So we will be playing it.
Yeah, I think I have a
on PS5.
PS2 scrounging around somewhere that maybe if I had to, but
I am going to make it a personal side quest of mine, and Bryant, feel free to join in this yourself as well. But each game that we play, I'm going to attempt to find a physical copy in real life, and I'll post a picture along with that of my find of where I got it before each podcast, or
That's
maybe post in the chat. Just a little
good for
personal
you.
quest, a little memento. There's going to be games on this list that I won't be able to get a physical copy of, like arcade games and such, but I would like to try to collect all the
Maybe-
games that we've played, because they're all games we're going to have beaten, and it's 100 games, so it'd be pretty awesome to have a whole collection of every game that you've beaten in the top 100. So
That's pretty cool. I like that. You could do like a shelf of each one.
which Super Mario World already cheated. Like I said, I do own it already physically. Like I buy all my Switch games physical, so this is easy. I didn't have to hunt for this, and
I'm
you can
gonna
go to any
buy-
store and buy this now.
I'm gonna get a memento because I like digital games, even though I know it's terrible. Because I know in a couple years they're gonna rip it.
You
from
don't
me.
own your games when you buy
No, I'm
digital,
paying
but
a
then I
price
look
to
at my Xbox where I have 500 digital games and my PlayStation that has another 50. Yeah, I'm a sucker for digital games too, just for the ease. But I do appreciate and acknowledge the benefit of a physical game. That's why my Switch is all physical. I know Nintendo, I have every Switch game is physical, and but new games that come out, I do stick with getting digital. But
Maybe I'll buy a mushroom.
oh, so you're gonna buy like a little memento for every game?
Yeah.
Something related.
Like a
You're gonna
keychain,
get like
and then I'll have this huge
Chains of
keychain.
Olympus for God of War.
Just do a knife.
So we'll see what we bring to the next podcast. Hopefully, I'm going to be able to secure a copy of God of War 2. And for me, when I collect and find the items, it has to be in person. I don't like to order online. So for me, it's going to be me going through my city and trying to find a physical copy of God of War 2. And that's the fun for me. And then
for you.
Bryant,
That sounds fun.
we'll see if you get a cool memento for
I'm
Mario
just gonna get on
3D World.
Amazon and just search
Yeah.
mushroom.
Well, when you're getting a memento, something exclusive to the game like that, it probably would be better to get it online. So that makes sense to me.
You like the hunt. I don't like the hunt. This is just a personality thing.
Yeah. I 100% games. I like the hunt. I'm just better. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. It's all enjoy.
It's truly
enjoy your
it's
experience
down to
the
who
way
you are.
want to. No.
Yeah.
Well, perfect. Well, that's it for the first episode of the 100 Lives Later podcast. We're playing through the top 100 games on Metacritic. Next up is God of War 2. Let's get to gaming.